few weeks ago on May the 3rd, we celebrated Star Wars Day, which is actually May the 4th, a takeoff of the words, "May the Force be with you." We now know that May the 4th is considered Star Wars Day internationally. And because I am a fan of Star Wars, I decided to make May the 3rd's service a talk about the wisdom that can be found in the series of 9 movies. And 2 weeks ago, on May the 3rd, we looked at some of the wisdom sayings that Yoda, the Master Jedi, shared with us. Today's talk, I want to focus on the Force. The Force is always with you. Use it wisely. A few years ago, several years ago now, my son David and I were camping. And around the campfire, just the two of us sitting there, he said to me, "Mom, do you believe in the Force?" I was dumbstruck and at the same time had this amazing aha moment, because at that time I had not yet discovered Unity, and I had been questioning my understanding of God, trying to get a better understanding of God, and nothing fit for me until this teenager asked this innocent question. And everything fell into place for me. The Force. That was a God concept that I could understand. So often you will hear me speak about the Force, not because I believe it literally, but I believe it as a concept that makes more sense for me personally than the God understanding that I grew up with. Now, I do want you to understand and know that I am in no way saying that one should not believe in whatever God fits your faith understanding. For some people, the image of the power, the one power, being a being that created the heavens and the earth and that continues to create the heavens and make changes on the earth. A being that can hear prayers, that can provide guidance. For some, that is a very powerful way of focusing their understanding and their prayer. For others, it is more appealing to think of God as a principle, as an energy perhaps, or as the universe, as something that isn't human-like, not anthropomorphic, to use the $10 word. And whatever you choose, it's the same concept, just different terminology. In fact, let me share something with you from the book The Secret. In the book The Secret, James Ray says, quote, "You go to a quantum physicist and you say, 'What creates the world?' And he or she will say, 'Energy.' Well, describe energy. Okay, it can never be created or destroyed. It always was, always has been. Everything that ever existed always exists. It's moving through form and out of form." You go to a theologian and you say, "What created the universe?" And he or she will say, "God." Okay, describe God. always was, always has been, never can be created or destroyed, all that ever was, always will be, always moving into form, through form, and out of form. You see, it's the same description, just different terminology. End quote. What most of us can agree on is that the one power, by whatever name we call it, is creative, formative, intelligent, powerful. It is, just like gravity is, applies to all equally, just as gravity does. Gravity doesn't make a distinction between a feather and an apple or us. It applies to all equally. And so it is with God. So it is with nature. So it is with the force, with quantum physics, with whatever name. There is no favoritism in God. Jesus tells us this in the book of Matthew, in the Sermon on the Mount, chapter 5, verse 45. Jesus says, God makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. To me, this is a very powerful reminder that God, by whatever our understanding, is a principle that treats all with the same fairness. There is no favoritism, there is no preferential treatment in God. God applies equally everywhere, all the time. So what does this have to do with the Force? Well, we look at the definition of the Force as described by another Jedi Master, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan says, the Force is what gives a Jedi his power. It is the energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us, penetrates us, it binds the universe together. The Force is this and more. It cannot be fully described with words. Yoda affirms this as well in the movie The Empire Strikes Back, when he says, its energy surrounds us and binds us. You may be interested to know that we hear that same message in Scripture when we are told that it is in God that we live and move and have our being. At Unity, we say that this is our first principle, that there is only one power, that there is no spot that God is not. The Force is always with us. And in those words that Daniel Nahmod shared, I'll remind you of some of them. Call it God, call it Jesus, call it Spirit, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or Heaven's Door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, it's your sign, it's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth, or Father Time. Whatever name you give it, it's one power. Can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love in you and me. So the very first thing I want us to appreciate, and I invite you to think of, is the idea that the Force, God, love, the universe, is always with you. This leads to my second point, which is that there is a light side and a dark side to the Force in the movies. Accepting that there is only one power can lead to some unexpected and confusing pretzel-twisting mind games, in that if we accept that, then we accept that there is no opposing power at war with God, like the devil. If there is only one power, then God is all, the positive and the negative. And that is easily understood and shown in this particular series of movies. There is a dark side to the Force and a light side to the Force. In the context of our behavior, we who are part of the Force can then choose between the light side or the dark side. We can choose between suffering and joy, suffering and peace. The dark side of the Force, which is often the quick and easy way, leads to misery and suffering. Yoda says it like this: beware, anger, fear, aggression, the dark side are they. In another movie, The Phantom Menace, he says, fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Consider this as a math equation somehow. Fear equals anger equals hate equals suffering. Therefore, fear equals suffering. Anger equals suffering. Hate equals suffering. Aggression equals suffering. These are the dark side of the Force. Have you ever felt afraid, angry, aggressive, fearful? Of course you have. You have a heartbeat. We all fear. We all get angry sometimes. We all judge. And so, what does that mean for us when we are in these places? Well, one of the things I think we need to recognize is there is a lot of wisdom and attention paid in these movies to how to get out of the dark side, how to be aware and beware of entering the dark side, the dark place. I think it's a recognition that it is a human experience to go into a dark place. And the hard part is, once we're there, it's awfully difficult to see the light. Yoda says, when you look at the dark side, careful you must be, for the dark side looks back. Careful you must be, for the dark side looks back. We know that as the law of attraction, that what we expect to see is what we will see. Or, to use a more familiar colloquialism, misery loves company. And sometimes when we've chosen that dark path and it is difficult to get back, it's hard not just to get back, but to recover. Sometimes in those dark places, we have said things that are harmful and hurtful, not just to ourselves, but to others. We have said things and done things that can cause irreparable harm to our relationships, to our self-image, to how we see ourselves in the world. And sometimes, once we've started down that path, it is very difficult to extract ourselves back out. Yoda says, once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. One of the things to know is that the fear of loss is a path to the dark side. Another quote by Yoda. When we fear that we will lose our well-being, our sense of well-being, when we feel that we are in a place where we have no control, it can create some anxiety, and that can lead us to this place of darkness. And so, fear, dark side. Anxiety, dark side. Anger, dark side. Aggression, dark side. Hatred, dark side. And I would add one other, defensiveness, dark side. So I've spent some time speaking about the dark, in case you haven't noticed. And that's all very well and good, and I'm hoping we can all see ourselves and the times that we have followed the path of the dark side, the times that we have given in to what can feel like a powerful charge when we are angry, a powerful charge when we are suffering. What do we do so that we avoid remaining there when it happens? How do we avoid going in there at all? Again, Yoda has an answer. In a dark place we find ourselves, and a little more knowledge lights the way. In a dark place we find ourselves, and a little more knowledge lights the way. Lights our way, pardon me. In a dark place we find ourselves, and a little more knowledge lights our way. So far we've established the force is always with us, and there is a light and a dark side. So, point number 3. Like Jedi we want to be. We want to choose the light side of the force. A little more knowledge will light our way. The more we understand what is happening in us, the more we can move through the experience with intention and attention, with focus, with enlightenment, with awareness, and even a little more knowledge, a little more insight can make a massive difference in how we respond rather than react to a situation. In a dark room, a small amount of light is all that is needed to banish a great deal of darkness. And so it is with us. a little bit of self-insight can make a massive difference in our peace and a massive difference in how much we suffer. Not to mention the people around us who suffer too. And one of the most powerful affirmations in the movie is this. In the movies is this. I am a Jedi. I am one with the Force, and the Force will guide me. Who are the Jedi, you ask? The Jedi were the peacekeepers. They were trained in the ability to harness the Force and the power of the Force for the care of others. They aspired to attain a state of inner tranquility and peace so that they would be able to be the presence of peace. They also acknowledged the dark side, but focused and trained to focus on the light. Within us, we have both the Jedi, who focus on the light, and the Sith, those who follow the dark side. With any story, remember, we are all of the characters at times, and our goal is to be more like the Jedi. Assuming that you want selfless peacekeeping, that you want care for people, to be a goal for you and your life. In Unity speak, the equivalent of a Jedi would be what we would call Christ consciousness. It is the way that we would want to behave when we are aware of our oneness with the power, with our oneness with each other, and that we live from that place. That is Christ consciousness, and it is the way of the Jedi. It takes work. It takes intention. It can be a difficult path. But the consequences of living a life on the dark side of the Force are much more difficult, are much more painful, and can lead to some awful suffering, both for the people around us and for ourselves. And so here are a few ways to turn to the light side. Direct quotes, and then a few words about them. First, in the heart of a Jedi lies her strength. In the heart of you lies your strength. Be heart-focused. What do you want to create more of in the world? Live that. If you want to create more love in the world, you will not get it by hating the person who doesn't love you. If you want to create more peace in the world, you will not get it by feeling agitated and resisting the person who isn't feeling peaceful around you. This is difficult work. If you want more acceptance, you won't get it by being unaccepting of the people who you view as unaccepting. And yet we do that all the time. In the heart of a Jedi lies her strength. Live from your heart, not in response to what is happening out around you. From you, not to you. Second, You will know the good from the bad when you are calm, at peace, passive. A Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense, never for attack. Master Yoda. This speaks to the first point. Notwithstanding that it's a movie, and it's called Star Wars, and it has uncountable lightsaber battles and so on, but give that sort of Hollywood's due. The idea is to live from the idea of knowledge, from intelligence, from wisdom. And when we are calm, when we are at peace and passive, that is the only time when we are intelligent enough to know the good from the bad. And so this message is, find the way to get yourself calm. Do you know what it takes to restore yourself, to put the oxygen mask on yourself, so that you can come to an issue, a problem, a challenge, a situation, and discern the good from the bad? When we are emotionally charged, we are not in a place where we can do that intelligently. What calms you? Meditation? A walk in the woods? Drawing? Doing a puzzle? Whatever it may be, having a long bath, showering, singing in the shower, whatever. Dancing, baking. What's your passion? What is it that restores you? Before you judge good and bad, make sure you're in that place of peace. Third, a Jedi must have the deepest commitment, the most serious mind. He's talking about Luke here. All his life has he looked away to the future, to the horizon, never his mind on where he was. In another movie, a character named Maz Kanata says, "Close your eyes, feel it. The light, it's always been there. It will guide you." This is all about mindfulness, about being in this present moment, not worrying about what's going to happen in the future or what might happen in the future, or the phone call that you may be expecting 3 days from now and who knows what it's going to say, or so-and-so said something 3 days ago and it's been on your mind all this time, leads to suffering. The light is to close your eyes. Close your eyes and be right where you are. And fourth, you must unlearn what you have learned. We spoke about this 2 weeks ago when Yoda said, "Truly wonderful the mind of a child is." We need to be willing to loosen our attachments to all those beliefs, emotions, attitudes, and thoughts that have kept us in hell. We must be willing to try a new way. In the meditation I'm going to do in a moment, there's another reference that I just didn't put in my notes here, but it's basically saying, if you've been playing a game and you think that you're playing it correctly and you're still not winning, a new game is what you need to do. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And yet, how often do we fall right back into our regressive patterns of behavior? It's like, as Martha Creek says, hi-ho, it's off to hell we go. If we are willing to unlearn what we have learned, if we're able to look at a new possibility, then we move towards the light. Fifth, patience you must have, my young Padawan. The Padawan is an apprentice, a learner, a student, as you are, as I am. And one of the great disservices that we can do to ourselves is to be impatient with ourselves as we learn these new tools. As we break our own patterns, we actually have to rewire our brains. And that takes practice. And it doesn't happen without mistakes. Mistakes are an indicator that we are doing something good, that we are learning. It's only if we do everything perfectly in our old pattern that everything is going to go just absolutely smoothly. So let us be patient with ourselves. And let us be patient with those around us who are also trying to break the patterns that they have established for years and years. And finally, I am a Jedi. I am one with the Force, and the Force will guide me. Let us remember that truth. Let us affirm our oneness with the Force, with God, with love, with the universe, with nature, with life, with good, whatever name is the God of your understanding. Know that you are divine, that you are one with that power, and that that power within you will guide you. And I leave you with this final quote from Han Solo, who said, I thought it was a bunch of mumbo-jumbo, a magical power holding together good and evil. The dark side and the light. Crazy thing is, it's true. The Force, the Jedi, all of it is true. If it is safe for you, I invite you to close your eyes for a moment as we go into a time of quiet prayer. This is a meditation that I created from all the myriad quotes that are in the movies in the Star Wars series. I invite you, when you hear the word Force, to insert the word for the God of your faith instead of Force, if that does not resonate for you. Close your eyes, feel it, the light. It's always been there. It will guide you. It is the energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us, penetrates us. It binds the universe together. Its energy surrounds us and binds us. The Force is this and more. It cannot be fully described with words. I am one with the Force. I am a luminous being, not the crude matter that is my human body. When I focus, I feel the Force around me, here, between others, myself, the trees, the rocks, everywhere. The Force will guide me. My ally is the Force, and a powerful ally it is. I will pay attention and beware that when I am feeling anger, fear, or aggression, they can lead to dark places. The dark side are they. When I judge someone, when I am upset or uncertain, my eyes can deceive me. I will not trust them. I will not assume anything. I will not judge by size or outer appearance. Instead, I will clear my mind, concentrate on the moment, and discover the thoughts I am holding. Many of the truths that I cling to depend on my point of view, and my focus determines my reality. If I am convinced that I've made no mistakes, but I am still losing, I am willing to unlearn all that I have learned and play a different game. The fear of loss leads to the dark side. This includes fear of being wrong. I will use the Force for knowledge and defense, never for attack. I know that at all times I can give off light or darkness, be a candle or the night. I will know the good from the bad when I am calm, at peace, passive. Control, control, control. I must learn control. As I learn, I will become more adept at choosing the way of light and love. The greatest teacher failure is. When I fail, I will remember that like any apprentice, I must be patient. I recognize that I must have deep commitment. When I am looking away, when I am looking to the future, to the horizon, I will bring my mind back to the moment. My strength flows from the Force. I am a luminous being, not this crude matter. I am one with the Force. I will use the Force to bring light. The Force will be with me, always. Amen.